One of the things I hear a great deal, particularly right now, is trying to lead a very stressed workforce. Now, this is an area where I have a great deal of experience. I did turnarounds of struggling companies for many, many years. Now, this is an extremely high stress area. If something doesn't change very quickly for an organization in stress, it's going to fail. The staff is demoralized, they're frustrated, and they're just stressed out. Many of you are going to be facing that same situation. Whenever I came into a new organization, the first thing I did was try to meet with every single employee. And the meeting had two purposes. The first was I wanted to allow them to tell me in their own words the good, the bad, and the ugly about the organization. The second was to give me the opportunity to ask them, what would you do to make this better? Now, I got to tell you, when I asked that second question, more times than not, I got the deer in the headlights look like, oh my God, no one's ever asked me that before. But I wanted to know, since they're closer to the situation, I wanted to know what they thought would work. That also then gave me the opportunity to let them know that their input is valuable and their role is important to the organization. Then I would ask, not tell them, ask them, please give the changes we're going to try to implement a fair chance. Trust takes time, particularly when you're coming in, you're going to change the status quo. This is going to take a lot of time. Now, research tells us that 70% of all new projects are going to fail. We know that. Whenever you attempt to implement a change, things are going to get worse before they get better. That's just the way it is. That's just life. Your staff is going to take a wait and see attitude. They want to see if you're fully committed to this new change, to this new way of doing business, or when you hit that first bump in the road, are you going to go back to the old method, the old model? Meaningful dialogue is going to become very critical at this point. Keeping everybody informed on the progress of the changes and celebrating those small victories is critical at this point because it starts to build confidence. The staff starts to say, hey, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about, or maybe this thing has an idea that it might even work. Now let's look at our current situation. Is your organization ready for the next step in the COVID ordeal? Have all your employees been vaccinated? How are you going to bring them back to the office? Do they even want to come back to the office? Did you know? Do they even want to come back? Did you know that in a recent Pulse of American Workers survey done by Prudential Financial, they found 26% of employees plan to change jobs post-COVID? 26%. Are you ready to handle that kind of turnover? What's the workplace going to look like? How are you going to accommodate social distancing and sanitation? Will everybody, so that your people feel safe? Is everybody going to come back on the same days, or some going to do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and others come back on different days? That's all going to be determined. Did you make any changes last year to your business or your processes, or did you just hunker down and wait for this ordeal to get over with? Now, regardless of what you did or didn't do in the last year, there's going to be a great deal of stress. Now, while COVID has increased the stress in every organization, dealing with high stress situations is not new. Just think of what we've been through in the last 20 years. We've had 9/11, a never-ending war, financial meltdown, housing crisis, 3 major recessions, corporate downsizing, outsourcing a job, trade wars, 2 impeachments, COVID, and on and on. You can name many more yourself. During each crisis, we've had the opportunity to pick ourselves up and start moving forward again. Remember this, great achievements come from great adversity. And the last year gave us a great deal of adversity. Every crisis gives us the opportunity to press the reset button. What can we do better? What can we adjust? What can we eliminate? When was the last time you really reviewed your best practice? Really reviewed them. Maybe it's time to find the next practice. Can we pivot our business and make it even better? Now, pivoting is not throwing everything out and starting over again. Pivoting is making a modification to what you're currently doing. Okay, let me give you 3 examples that I was aware of that occurred during this COVID issue. There was a local pizza shop in the Northeast, not far from where I grew up in Buffalo, New York. And they had 8 pizzerias, and they had the oven where you put the pizza in, it gets done in like 45 seconds. Well, COVID comes along, people stop coming in. They're hurting. They're really hurting. So we had a conversation. We said, well, what else can you use those ovens for? They do a lot of heat. What else can you use them for? Well, we identified a plastic manufacturer not too far from them. And that plastic manufacturer is making the PPE masks that they were in the hospitals. Well, those ovens can be used to help form that plastic. So we introduced the two parties, they made the connection, and now they have two businesses. The business went so successful, they now have a plastic manufacturing entity, and they have a pizzeria. They pivoted and had great success because they used their imagination during a time of crisis. Second operation, COVID hit the high-end restaurants extremely hard. High-end restaurants, they don't have drive-thrus, and they usually don't do curbside pickup. That's not what they do. So one of the suggestions we made to a number of high-end restaurants was to consider this. You have all your customer information. Everybody pays with a credit card. You probably have their phone number and their email address. Send them a letter, send them an email, or call them up and ask them how they're doing during this isolation period, the quarantine. Are they doing okay? Do they need any help? And then put in that same note to say, you can still have these great meals that you love even during this quarantine. On these days of the week, we are going to make this special meal. Put in your order by day X, and we will prepare this meal for you, and the delivery to your house will be on us. We look forward to seeing you again when you can be back in person. Now, how do you think that went for the restaurants who took advantage of that? It went extremely well. The customers, number one, felt appreciated while they're staying at home, trying to cook every day and eating takeout pizzas and tacos. The restaurants stays top of mind. They were able to maintain their top employees, their key chefs were able to stay in place, and they generated some revenue during a very difficult time. When the people were able to go back and eat in person again, where did they go? They went to those restaurants that wrote to them, that created that thing for them, that created those meals and delivered it for them. And they didn't come alone. They came with friends and family, and they sang the praises of this organization. That's the second story that occurred. The third one is we worked with a food supplement company, and they were struggling. They had lack of funds, and they had just really terrible marketing. So we suggested, well, let's form an alliance with other organizations in your same industry, because if you're struggling, chances are they're struggling too. So what supplements do people buy when they buy yours, or what are they buying in lieu of yours? We put together a list. We met with the different entities, and we suggested, look, guys, let's try to have a collaboration here. Let us take over your marketing, and let us take over your assets, and we will combine forces. This will lower the administrative costs and the sales and distribution costs for both parties and both entities. All right. Both cases, they were able to generate more revenue at less costs. 3 operations, all thought, used their imagination during a difficult time, and pivoted to make their organization better. Now, the best leaders are always learning, and they're always listening. The best leaders have the ability to understand what the established best practice is, but then say, yeah, I know what it is, but what if we did this? It's knowing what you don't know and establishing strategic relationships with organizations who have the business expertise that can help you continue to thrive and scale and sustain during difficult periods. The best leaders are able to create an environment where every employee feels they're empowered to innovate, to try new ideas, and to look for a better way. The best leaders know that innovation does not come from the top down. Innovation comes bottom up. So what's next? I have a book coming out in just about a month. It's called The Business Secrets to Walking on Water. Now, by far, the most common mistake that I have found for organizations during hard times is not admitting they don't know what they don't know. So how many times have you heard or said these things yourself? We didn't see this coming. Or that was something we didn't expect. Or the one I love is, we weren't prepared for this. Most businesses sink because they don't know what they don't know. Now, I have addressed many of these obstacles that we often don't see coming. And I've included in this book a workbook, which you can use with your staff, or I can come in and can facilitate that meeting for you. Now, let me leave you with this. Have you ever watched the best of the best do what they do? It can be anybody, best golfer, best actor, it doesn't matter. They make what they do look so easy. It's at times they look like they're walking on water. Well, they are walking on water because they learned the secret, and now so can you. The secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. Contact me at frankzaccari.com for an on-site or a virtual consultation, or to have me come and speak at one of your upcoming events. I will help you find the rocks.